Welcome to CG Live. Tim Allman here with one of our newest student pastors, newly minted vicar Dan Morton, serving in a variety of different ways in our school and now more in church on Sundays. You've seen him if you've been at the Gilbert campus. So we're going to lean into Dan's story today. We're going to have a super fun time. Before we do that, just a few words of encouragement. One, let's finish the school year strong.
Yes.
Dan. So graduation is this last Tuesday. Wednesday is last day of school. And then it's the summer, and then we are leaning into, a gym being completed. Danny, excited about the gym?
Oh my gosh, so excited.
We are about a month ahead of schedule. Again, pray for AC units that they would come in because we can't put our wood floor in until the AC units get there.
That's right.
But man, we are going to be balling, bro.
For sure.
You're a pretty good shooter.
Faux show.
So it's going to get really, really fun. And then our micro high school set, I think we have about 5-6 students currently enrolled. We're going after a few more. That kind of hybrid online homeschool in-person instruction model. It's going to be so much fun. So school. Also couples. We need to invest in our couples at Christ Greenfield.
Yes.
It's a huge need. And so we have a couples getaway at Gold Canyon Golf Resort. That's June 2nd through the 4th.
Beautiful place, beautiful place.
Beautiful place, beautiful people who are putting together an awesome weekend. And it's super, super affordable for you. Hope you can join us. My wife and I will be there. It's going to be super fun. Small group training is really, really good. Summer's often a time when we kind of reset or reboot. Maybe it's a time for you as a leader to say, hey, I need to do life with other people, and I'd love to set a rhythm of getting together, 2 or 3 or more of your friends getting together. Our small group leader training, from a host to a leader, it's on a new platform called Thinkific. Thinkific, it's a learning management system. So the training for you, according to your time, your availability, it's going to be really, really good. Just got a preview of that from Dr. Trey Cox yesterday. Cool. Yeah. And so now would be a great time for you to prayerfully explore becoming a small group leader at Christ Greenfield. And the last announcement is this. The Denver Nuggets are about ready to tussle, a rumble with the LA Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. I'm wearing my Nuggets shirt. Dan is a lifer. Dan is a lifelong LA Lakers, and you come from LA. So tell us your Lakers story and your prediction for this series, and I'll give you mine.
Well, I mean, we're just so used to winning. That it's likely another championship.
You think?
I think it's going to be a great competition.
Oh, really?
The Nuggets, they'll be there, and they might win a game.
We'll be there.
And it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting.
Nikola Jokic is one of the greatest centers of all time. What's your answer for Nikola Jokic?
Well, we've got Anthony Davis. You might have heard of him.
He's very injury prone, and I don't think he matches up well. I'm just being straight up honest.
I'm trying to think how many championships does Jokic have now?
Yeah, this is going to be the first.
Oh, because I know AD's done it before.
He has.
And so we'll see if he can handle.
Nuggets are also
AD.
Deeper.
What?
As a team.
Well,
our bench is deep.
Well,
you have some good players. Who's your bench? Who do you love coming off the bench?
Well, we've got Schroeder, we've got Reeves. I mean, we essentially got a brand new team at the trade deadline.
I know.
Like, it was a dream come true, honestly, because we were a sub-500 team. And every piece is like the perfect piece.
You think?
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it still takes a while for a team to gel together. The Nuggets have had all the pieces, and I'll say this, we've done it the right way.
You've done it the right way, because we did it
the right way. The wrong way.
The wrong way.
For sure. So, smaller market team,
yes,
trying to live the dream. Here's the thing. If you listen to announcers, especially in the Phoenix series, I don't know if you watched the Nuggets versus the Suns.
I did.
It was very evident, especially on TNT, that they did not want the Nuggets to win.
I know.
It's a flyover state. I don't think the Nuggets have the same draw. Jokic is not like your most, adamant, vocal kind of a.
No.
He's not a polarizing figure. The dude just goes out there and gets it done.
He's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch. It's not pretty.
No.
but
it's just
but he is amazing.
Skilled.
Yes, super skilled.
And his hands. Okay, that's enough of basketball. We will see how this goes, but it should be a lot of fun. All right, Dan, quasi-serious.
Yeah.
Because there's never really truly serious. What's your ministry story? Let our folks get to know you better.
My ministry story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was I was baptized into the Lutheran Church at Abiding Savior El Toro in Lake Forest, kind of Mission Viejo, Orange County area of California. And you know, growing up in the church and going to a small Lutheran school, you know, I grew up singing in the choir and kind of doing everything that you did. And I remember in 8th grade, the two pastors at my church, Pastor Berner and Pastor Kuntz, they took me out on the balcony of my 8th grade classroom and they said, they gave me the "we see in you" conversation, right?
Yeah.
You know, we see you could be a really great pastor one day. And I said, well, you say that to all the 8th grade boys.
Not true. Yeah.
And I know they might have had a conversation with a few other guys, but I just didn't really see myself there, right? Yeah. And then as I grew up, I always kind of heard that kind of in the back of my mind, and I always kind of had a heart of, I'd say, service, and loved being involved in the church and youth group and all of the things. But like in high school, like a lot of young men, I think I felt, God, I know you're there, but I'm going to make my own decisions for a while. And that just kind of arrogance, right? That I can do it on my own and I'll deal with the consequences that may come. And a lot of times you don't realize just how you're really kind of making yourself your own God. And so I kind of went that way for a while and suffered a lot of, you know, repercussions. And I'm very thankful for having parents who were incredibly patient with me, that just continued to show me love and patience through, you know, me being kind of a jerk.
Rebellious.
And so, you know, coming out of that, I kind of, I'd say, metamorphosized, especially in college. I went to Concordia Irvine, and that's where I met my wonderful wife, Tina.
Yeah.
And we met in the choir at
She's
Concordia
got a great
Irvine.
voice, too. You both are fantastic singers.
And so yeah, and then from then on, it just became, you know, having our family and serving in our local church community. And, you know, we moved from Orange County out to Iowa, and we were there for about 8 years.
Did you like Iowa?
I loved Iowa. Like, growing up in Southern California, where you don't really make eye contact with your neighbor, we were always a little bit of the oddball because we were kind of friendly neighbors, but it always felt strained to have a relationship with people.
Culture is different.
It's like everybody kind of has that feeling like, what do you want from me?
Yeah. Huh.
And I feel that even here
Sure.
in the Phoenix area. But when you move to the Midwest, there's definitely this feeling of community that's almost a little bit more baked into the culture, I feel like. And that's why I feel like Phoenix is like this really cool mix of those two cultures.
Agree.
So,
yeah, I kind of think to piggyback on that, like as a church, a lot of the Midwest get to know you, take time for you. I'm available to be interrupted. The church should be the place where that happens, because I don't think in Phoenix necessarily, even in suburbia, the fast pace, you know, I'm busy. I don't think that happens intentionally. We really want to model that, like a village within a Midwestern Christian village.
Right.
I hesitate to say bubble, because that means we're bubbling ourselves from the, you know, bubble wrapping our kids and all that, which there can be an element of that, but we still want to be in the world but not of the world, right? But yeah, that's really, and you really, as a culture carrier, Dan, you and Tina, your kids over the years, you've been here about 9 years now or so. I mean, you have helped bring that feel of love and joy and connection here, and joy. That's when I think Dan Morton and Tina, just the Morton family in general, I think the joy of Jesus. So what gives you joy? What steals joy for you as we get to know you better?
Ooh. Well, I love kids. Obviously, we've got 5 of our own, and I love serving, you know, the Christ Greenfield School community as much as possible.
Have you always loved kids? Have you always had this, like, from high school on, or how did that evolve? Because,
even when I was a kid, I liked younger kids, and
because not everybody does.
No.
Newsflash.
No.
You're a special person.
Well, thank you for saying so.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just, you know, kids don't know what they don't know. And what better way of guiding them and teaching them with joy and fun, but also helping them to realize when it's time to be serious and how to have a servant heart. So Tina and I are both really passionate about that and love doing that.
What steals joy? What like takes away life from you?
Finances. Like I work with finances,
Right.
so I'm a mortgage broker. But it'd be great. I think everybody would agree if you didn't have to worry about the money.
Yeah.
And not to be some jet-setting billionaire going around the world, but just to be able to serve your community and do it as much as you could possibly do it, without having to worry about all the bills that come along in life.
Give me neither poverty nor riches. Somewhere
Right.
in between there
Somewhere in between.
is okay. But when we are at our, like, how much faith does it take right now? Let me just double click on that a sec, because for a family, I got 3 teenagers, you got 5 kiddos. I mean, just cost of living, especially here in Phoenix, has gone, our budget just for normal family needs. We don't live extravagant or whatever.
Right.
A couple thousand extra a month, dude.
Right. Well, and that's the pinch everybody's feeling now, right? So, being a mortgage broker for as long as I have, I've gone through countless people's finances. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? And with the cost of everything going up and pay kind of shrinking with inflation rising, because nobody's getting a raise to go along with inflation.
At that level. No.
And the job market's tightening and all those things, it's really easy to have that suck joy from you. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way right now. But the beauty is that we've got the ultimate,
That's right.
saving grace. The joy, no matter how the house you live in or, the bills that are getting paid, God's providing.
Yeah.
It may not be your ideal, but to know that ultimately, good, bad, or indifferent, there is a life to come that's just so far beyond this one, is a peace and a joy that is beyond all understanding, right?
Yeah, I view, because I think a lot of folks, and we're feeling this even as a ministry, our generosity year over year is a little bit down, especially with the general, and I think there's that temptation to say, I'm gonna cut from God and His mission so that my needs are met. I would encourage you that should be really, for the Jesus follower, like the last thing that gets cut.
Right.
Because He owns it all. When we give sacrificially as He's given to us, man, can't outgive God for one. It's kind of a rebellious statement against the things of this world.
Absolutely.
When we give sacrificially. And I have never met anybody who actually gives and said, you know what, man, I wish I had that. I wish I had that back.
Right.
So that is the invitation right now, and I think it's a test. I know it's a test.
Right.
From God. Where is your treasure found? Is it found in the things of this world and having enough, or is it in Jesus? And I think we as a follower, we want to say it's in you, Jesus. You are more than enough. So speaking of Jesus, what's your favorite Jesus story that like captures your attention, captures your imagination?
I think I identify with a lot of people with Peter, just being super passionate,
Right.
and then kind of turning your back at times. The rooster crowing 3 times. No, Jesus, I would never deny you, much less 3 times. And not that we necessarily deny Jesus, but at times we close Him off to our lives, and it's kind of then all of a sudden you return back to being in relationship with Him, and you go, why did I do that? And it's really easy. Like we get so caught up in thinking we can control things or absorbed with what's on our phone or the communication that we're getting, that we forget to put Him in control of everything. And in a way, that's kind of us denying Him.
That's right.
To be in relationship with Him. And everything it goes better with Christ.
Yeah.
And so that's, that's that conversation that you have from time to time. Jesus, why Why did I try to
Yeah.
do that on my own?
Right.
I'm just going to put you at the center of everything.
You and I were talking before we started to get going that I think both of us kind of thrive on a certain level of chaos. And a synonym for chaos is surrender.
Right.
You know, like, I don't know exactly how this is going to go. I don't know the future of America. I don't know the future of my finance. I don't know a lot of that. But instead of being angry, it is that brain switch or the Holy Spirit switch that says, no, I'm just going to be more curious on the adventure of following Jesus through the unknown. That is picking up your cross and following after Christ right now. We're all getting a firsthand test of what it looks like to follow Jesus by bearing our cross. Anything more to add about the day and age in which we live and bearing our own cross?
I think you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it because, a lot of people are saying, well, there's inflation and things might get worse and get really doom and gloom, right? Like, there's high likelihood, right? So do you look at that with fear, or do you look at that with the peace knowing that God's in control?
Amen.
Because if you know God's in control, these can be really exciting times. These can be times where people refocus on what truly matters in life.
Amen.
And we can have the conversations with people that they had closed their mind off to because they were so involved with the things of this world and the riches and the idols that is so easy to let creep into our lives.
It's fool's gold, bro.
It's fool's gold. And
Like,
when
it
it
doesn't last.
disappears,
Yeah.
then what are people going to be grabbing for? And hopefully we can be the ones showing them light through him.
I was just in D.C. Have you done the D.C. trip?
Yes, I did it last year.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Unreal. And for history buffs like us, it was just, I was on overload drive, because one of our first D.C. days was like the day of death.
Oh, wow.
From the Holocaust to the Iwo Jima Memorial to Arlington National. It's just like everywhere you look, there was people who lived and then they died. And all there is this tomb or this memorial to a life, hopefully well-lived. But there's nothing that they have outside of bones in the ground. So how much more time should we, given that fact we have a limited, it should be about Jesus and it should be about investing our lives in people rather than things, right?
Because what's your legacy? I mean, 2 generations from now, when you're gone,
The people.
Nobody will know who you were. But if you are spreading Christ,
That's right.
it multiplies far beyond you in ways that are eternal.
Right.
What better legacy is that than his?
Exactly.
Like, it's just so good.
It is so good. All right, so you're a student at Kairos in the Luther House of Studies. Thanks for going on that journey. For those of you who don't know, we've got well over a dozen, maybe 15 students or so at our congregation right now. It's a month-by-month kind of a subscription into a Lutheran learning community. So what are you learning right now? How's it shaping you?
So we went through the Reformation study, which is excellent.
It was.
Martin Luther is just, he's such an amazing figure. Whether you're Lutheran or not, if you're Protestant, whatever denomination, what he speaks to, the core of your faith, it just strips it down to the core. And it's exciting because if you think about the times he lived in, if you think we're heading into dark times, talk about dark times.
Yeah.
When you're trying to avoid the plague and cholera, name a way to die.
They had it.
They had it.
The 16th century.
I mean, you had 5 kids like me, not because you wanted 5 kids, but you were hoping some of them lived.
That's right.
Beyond a year, right? And you talk about a dependence and a trust in God and trying to find joy. Those are dark times. And the fact that he held so strong to his faith and still found joy. Like, I just love the character that he was on top of it. He wasn't just an amazing student and just an amazing professor and all of the things, but he was a jovial man.
Yeah, he was.
Who loved the Lord and had joy in him and spread that joy to others, which is just, it's so cool in the midst of that kind of...
What parts of Luther's story do you think are misunderstood or unknown by a lot of folks? You're like, he was way more than just a pounding of the, feces on the door.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He wrote those things up to help his parishioners. he wanted to help, the congregation at the time know Christ better.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jesus who loves them directly.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to start a fight or start a reformation that could fracture the church. He just cared about people and their relationship with Jesus and the Jesus that he knew. So I just find it amazing, because the other thing, you talk about God's overreaching story that's so much like he's playing chess and we're all, playing dominoes, right? And the fact that, the printing press came around
Perfect timing.
right when otherwise the 95 Theses wouldn't have been spread around like it was.
Yeah.
And so it started a fire that was a cleansing fire in so many ways for the church. And really it just brought people back to Christ in so many ways. So yeah, I think a lot of people think him as some, fire and brimstone guy. He was just a guy who loved Jesus and wanted other people to know him more personally.
And how long ago, roughly, did that take place? About 500 years, right?
500 years.
Right. And we're still experiencing this awakening. Have you heard of the every 500-year kind of shift that some historians have talked about?
The cycle.
The cycle, the split even 1,000 years ago, Eastern and Western kind of Christianity and Orthodox, Greek, and then kind of the Western Roman Catholic kind of tradition, and then obviously the Protestant Reformation. Some people think we're walking through a shift right now. So if we are in a shift, and we kind of lament it, post-Christian, secular, all that kind of stuff, if we are in a shift, what part of Luther's story do you think should help us navigate these maybe unprecedented, uncertain waters?
Well, I think that's the hope that we have, right? In the midst of darkness. It's what catches fire. It's why the church spreads in kind of the worst of times. We're talking about Asia. It's exploding because people are so under regime and under government control of you can't believe in anything, and that's where he's at work, right? When people need him, he's there always for us, and those are the times we're walking into. And we've had such excess for so long. I think also people are starting to see it. They're like, this is gross. Like, what is going on now? And we need to return to something that's real. And a lot of people don't know what that is. We do. And that's the exciting thing. That's why going into this, it can be an exciting time.
It's a very exciting time. So look a decade from now, what do you hope to be doing to advance the cause of Christ?
Well, ultimately, it's where he leads, right? I've had my plans many times, and he said, no, this is the better plan.
You have answered wisely.
Right?
That's true.
But I'm going down this path of learning and hopefully maybe being able to speak the word to larger groups of people and whatever aspect and forum that might be.
Amen. Last question regarding your formation of young men. My son's been impacted by you. Thank you for investing in him. He tells me a lot of things that Mr. Morton says, and say don't believe half of it. But if it's talking about, no, I'm just joking.
The Lakers.
It's about the Lakers, right? But what do you hope for the next generation of young men as they grow from boys to men? ABC.
So.
Shut up.
You can keep going with that song.
I don't
I'd love
remember
to
the
hear
rest.
more. This is something I'm pretty passionate about because I feel like so many parents now haven't had great examples. Now, maybe their parents were good examples, but culturally, a couple generations back, the norm was being a parent is a beautiful thing. And a mother and a father leading their child and raising them to be a strong adult was the norm and the model. And so you grew up with shows like, Happy Days and Growing Pains and all these shows that had a strong father figure that when things got rough, Dad was a steadying force.
Well, Leave It to Beaver.
And Leave It to Beaver, the Andy Griffith Show, like all these great shows, right? And so growing up, my dad was very much kind of that Andy Griffith type of dad, very patient and would slow down to explain things to me. And in this rush of life, a lot of dads have lost that modeling to know how to model it to their own sons. And so I believe very passionately about pouring into our young men to teach them the value of what it is to be a man and how cool it is
Amen.
to be a man, and also coming alongside the dads and giving them community of dads who are doing it too, and learning from each other's strengths and weaknesses and everything in between. So, the world right now is telling young men that they're not really worth a whole lot, other than just to kind of work and serve themselves and play video games. And so if you watch any TV show now or commercial, the dad is often a bumbling, kind of goofy guy who really isn't doing anything for his family, and the wife is kind of taking control and is doing great things. Great that she's doing great things, but we are called as men to lead our family and to take care of them and raise children up. And if we're not challenging our young men to lead and serve, then what fulfillment are they going to get out of life long term? Because if you're not serving others, you only serve yourself, and that hole, it never gets filled up by anything but Christ at the center of it. And when Christ's at the center, serving becomes just the fruit you bear without thinking about it.
You're in the groove, you're in the flow.
You're in the groove and in the flow. So I love being able to speak to our young men and challenge them, and do it with fun, and because who doesn't want to have some fun along the way, right?
Amen. Thanks for doing it. Last question. Your prediction, honest prediction for the series. Try to be as unbiased as you can.
As unbiased as I can.
And I'll try to do the same. Seriously.
I would say, because you have that whole altitude thing, I'll give you 2 games, but we'll be...
You think you guys will be able to beat us at home?
We'll be winning in 6. Yeah. We're
No,
probably going to
okay.
take the game tonight, because everybody underestimates the Lakers. They're like, oh, they're not that good, and then they get kind of
This will be a very telling game tonight.
So
now,
it
this
will.
may be, you may be watching this or something on like Wednesday. Please comment and we'll see what happens. But I don't know, man. I think it's 7, and I think the Nuggets take it because of home court advantage. That's if I'm unbiased, that's my general sense, because the Nuggets dominated the Suns at home.
And for all my Suns friends out there,
Dominated them.
I love the Suns.
I do too.
And
but
if
they
the
were
Lakers don't win a
dominated.
championship, I'd love for the Suns to win one. But you weren't that good this year.
They weren't deep enough.
They weren't. You traded your bench for one star.
Gave away too much.
And I feel bad for them in that respect.
I do too.
But they weren't that good. And so that's great that you beat them. But now you're going to face a championship team.
We'll see how it goes. It's going to be good. I hope that this conversation brought you some joy. And even though we're enemies on the court, we're brothers in Christ.
Amen.
And it's a good day. Go and make it a great day. We'll see you next week on CG Live. Peace. Thanks, Dan.